thanks for stopping by. For those of you that don't know, this series we are doing Entrepreneur Reacts to Business Advice. I'm Brixenta, I own 2 businesses, and we're gonna see what this advice is and whether or not it's gonna work for you. So grab some tea or whatever your beverage is and get comfy. Okay, so in today's video, we're gonna watch This Hustle Scam is Costing You, How to Avoid It, and it's by SUNNY Lenarduzzi. And let me start by saying, this channel is not about drama, it's not about getting a reaction, it's not about tearing somebody else down. What we're doing is giving you information to help you decide whether or not advice is going to work for your life. Everybody is different. Everybody can be, not everybody, but a lot of people are very well intended in their advice, and a lot of the advice works for a lot of people. But it doesn't mean it's always going to work for you. We're all very different individuals, and there are some blanket things that work for most people, and that'll pretty much work if you're running a business, because, you know, like kind of like our bodies work, there are some fundamental things that if you don't feed your body, you're gonna die. If you feed your body the wrong things, you're gonna be really sick. So, you know, there are some fundamental things that will be the same for everybody, but then there are some other things that we're all wired differently, and so it's really about self-awareness. And how do you find that self-awareness? That is what I want to do, is help you figure out your self-awareness, where you're at in your journey, where you want to go in your journey, and whether or not the advice they're giving is going to work for you. So let's get started.
So there's this scam out there that I actually fell for, and it has cost people their marriages.
This scam, I want to tell you, I have also fallen for the hustle scam that she talks about. I have been there. It's not pretty.
It's cost people their businesses, it's cost people financially, emotionally, mentally. It's brutal. And it took me a while to work up the nerve to talk about this, but I wanted to address in this video so you don't fall for it as well. Before we get into what it is, I wanted to kind of share with you the concept behind why this scam is so costly. So imagine if I wanted to pump these weights for, I know, look at me go, 15s, for the next 12 hours. I don't think I could do it, first of all, but second of all, it's just stupid because it would make me extremely sore. I'd probably get injured, and then it would mean that I wouldn't be properly able to do my work. I wouldn't properly be able to really function in my life, and I would be exhausted. So it would cost me a couple of days of mental and physical optimal strength. So that's the concept of diminishing or negative returns, which I want to show you. This is not a concept I created, but I did make a special doodle for you. So let me show you what it looks like so I can further explain this. This is what it looks like. So you have your input down here, which is your investment of time, money, resources, energy. Then you have your output, which is the quality of what you're getting out, the work that you're doing, etc. So this right here with the happy face is your most productive. It means that you're getting an equal amount of input and output. So you're putting in your time, energy, resources, etc. And then you're getting really quality work out of it as well that you're proud of. This is where we start to hit the danger zone. This is where we get minimal or diminishing returns. Meaning that basically you hit this point and you're putting in the same amount of time, energy, investment, etc., but your work starts to slide. It starts to not really yield any results at all, and you're not happy about it. Then we reach the real tipping danger point, which is the negative returns, obviously with the sad face. So you put in time, energy, resources, you're hustling, but the quality of your work goes down significantly. You make mistakes, you get lazy, you are doing things just because you feel like you have to, but they're not actually bringing you any kind of return because you're just needing to stay busy, and you think if you put in more time, effort, and and energy, you're gonna get an amazing output, but you've passed that.
This is actually something I talk about a lot, and that is, I actually just did a Twitter tweet today. If I remember, I'll insert it here. There's no prize given to the people who sleep the least. We have this society has been plagued with this hustle mentality of the harder you work, the more you work, the less you sleep, the bigger the prize is, but there's really no prize. Is you just end up sleep deprived and not able to reach what you're trying to do. And yes, you need to work if you're going to build a business, if you're going to get to where you want to go. There's going to be work that needs to be done, but exactly what she's talking about, if you keep continuously putting out, and then you're not getting very much put back into you, or you're not getting enough rest, or your body's not getting what it needs, you end up actually just spinning your wheels. You're doing a lot of busy work that isn't actually moving you towards where you want to go. And so something that I talk about a lot is just picking one thing to focus on, because there's so much busy work that people can do, and there's so many things you can add in, and so many things you can tweak, and so many things you can do, and it just doesn't usually pay off. You got to figure out what's the return on investment and what is it costing you. And for me, you are always worth pouring into. So there's a huge return on investment there. Is if this is helping you, that is enough for me. And so for me to do a video like this makes sense. Some of the other things that I've done, I've been, I've worked full job, I've ran a business, I've done all of these different things to get this business, especially with all this Brixenta and content creation and branding and all of that stuff. There's so many things you can put in the equation, and so much of it is busy work. It's just spinning your wheels. And so that's exactly what she's talking about, is stop doing that. Just get more focused on what you do want, and stop doing all that other stuff that's actually, you're doing a lot of things, but it isn't getting you anywhere. So it's basically like your car is in park, but you're pushing the gas pedal, so your wheels are just spinning, and you're just gonna burn the motor out is all you're gonna do. And so what she's talking about is getting that car out of park so you can drive, and then parking it so it can rest, get its gas, do what it needs to do, and then putting it in drive and moving forward again, instead of just sitting in park and pushing on that gas pedal and letting your wheels spin. I hope this makes sense.
That was down here. This is when it's time to stop. Really right here, this is when it's time to stop. This is definitely when it's time to stop. Take a breather and then come back so you can enter this positive zone again. And you might be able to relate to this because I'm sure you've had those days. I just had one, which is why I'm making this video, where I was exhausted. I was mentally exhausted, but I still had things that I had on my to-do list that I needed to get done and that I wanted to do in order to achieve my goals. It takes hard work to be an entrepreneur, to achieve your career goals, to do really anything that you want in life. However, if you don't understand hard work and motivation in moderation, it can lead to a very vicious cycle, and it creates mental fatigue. So just like if your muscles were constantly working, they basically would end up just breaking and burning out. Your mind works the same way, and mental fatigue is defined as basically your cognitive function doesn't turn off. Your wheels are constantly spinning, you're constantly in motion, you're constantly thinking about your next thing, and it leads to exhaustion and sometimes burnout. And then when you get in that state, the worst thing is that when you feel exhausted, there is guilt that's associated with that because of this hustle culture that's been created in this scam that I'm going to show you in a second to make you feel like you constantly have to be busy. So it creates a cycle of you get exhausted and then you need to find motivation. You usually look externally for that motivation. You get a small hit of dopamine and motivation. And did you know dopamine is also found in cocaine? Yes, it's basically a drug. And you get that hit of dopamine, you have momentary motivation, but your brain is still exhausted. So you can't really do the things properly that you need to actually create the return that you're looking for to achieve your goals. Enter the hustle scam. The hustle scam looks like this. You're unmotivated and unfocused and unproductive, and maybe you're exhausted. So you look for external motivation. Maybe it's on social media, YouTube, wherever. That gives you momentary motivation and a dopamine hit, so you feel really good and excited, and then you fall right back into exhaustion and realize that even though you're motivated for that moment, you don't even really know what you're motivated for. So then that leads you to need to get another hit of dopamine and enter the cycle all over again.
Yeah, if you're feeling burnt out and then you think for a moment because you had some positive feedback on social media or whatever, if you're feeling burnt out and then you have a moment of, oh no, I'm motivated, and then you feel burnt out again, there's a reason, and you have to look into that. And it's probably because you're doing too many things that aren't moving you in the direction that you want to go, that they're just spinning your wheels. And you have to decide whether or not you need to cut certain things out, whether or not you need to keep them in. That's the game of self-awareness there.
I fell victim to this and ended up in the hospital. I know what it's like to hit that mental fatigue point, and honestly, most of it came from my own ego. I didn't want to ask for help because I didn't want to appear weak. I didn't want to take a rest day because that's not what busy, successful entrepreneurs do. And here's the reality newsflash. There is literally no evidence, none whatsoever, that hustling makes you more successful or happier. Hustling and the concept of it is constantly being.
In fact, hustling probably makes you more miserable, depending on how you're doing it. I am all about working to get to where you want to go and working hard at it. But if it's doing what this did to Sunny and ending you up in the hospital and burnt out and fatigued, what's your return on investment? It's probably not good. So it's time to reevaluate, and let's normalize rest. Let's normalize putting in the work, but also knowing when to just chill out and binge on Netflix or hang out with friends or just sleep for 12 hours or whatever it is that we need, because our bodies will tell us, and if we don't listen, there will become a point where they make us listen, and it's not going to be pretty.
Busy. If you're constantly being busy, what are you actually working on or towards? I can tell you that the most successful people in the world, and a lot of the people that are proclaiming that hustle culture is a great thing, are people who aren't doing everything. They have teams behind them. They have support staff. They have maids and cooks and cleaners and all of these things. And truthfully, if hustle and working 24/7 was the thing that made everyone successful, I know a hell of a lot of people who are making less than minimum wage, barely able to pay rent, who should be millionaires. Hustle is a privilege, it's a status symbol, and it's a whole lot. It doesn't respect your boundaries, and it doesn't respect your limits. And ultimately, it keeps you mediocre. And here's the really crazy part about this. Did you know the self-help industry is expected to be a $13 billion a year industry by 2022? It is on the rise. And I love self-help. I've read all the books, I listen to all the podcasts, but that can also be a very toxic thing when it's not done in moderation. And unfortunately, a lot of people who are spewing motivation are in their own cycle. They're trapped in their own cycle, and I call it the validation scam, which really looks like this. They're insecure or have a lack of self-worth, so they're in need of external validation. They then post something online, and then they get a bunch of likes, comments, followers. That gives them an instant dopamine hit and makes them feel really good about themselves. And then that brings you right back to needing another one of those hits.
This is why self-awareness is so important, and I've fallen victim to this as well. But this is why self-awareness is so important, to know if you're in this cycle of needing validation, of not getting it from likes and followers, and instead talking with somebody that you trust about how you're feeling and what you're doing and how it's affecting you. And the healthier I am emotionally, the less I need that validation from outside sources. So I've worked with some of the best business coaches and currently have an amazing coach, and I'm able to meet with that person multiple times a week and talk about what I need to, so that when I come here for you guys I'm here for you, and not for you to give me likes, not for you to give me attention, but I'm here to help you, and I can show up in the way that I actually want to show up. And I'm not sitting here going, I want to help you, but I really need your validation. I really need your likes. I really need you to help me work through this insecurity. Like, that's not going to help anybody. Eventually that will wear off for you, and eventually your followers or whoever's watching or whoever's talking to you will see through that and be like, you know what, I can't be what you need, I'm out of here. And if that happens, then your self-worth goes down. In all reality, it never changed, but your view of it did. This is why I talk so much about self-awareness, and this is why we need each other. So if you need to vent, or if you need to be like, hey, I'm struggling with emotions, feel free to send me a DM, to send me a text message, to write in the comments below, whatever you feel comfortable with. And here's my number if you want to text me. And this number might be changing really soon because I think I'm going to be changing services, but texting is an option if you're like, I have this emotion and I need to talk about it, but I don't have anybody to talk to about it. And I'm not gonna sit there. I've gone through plenty of, I'm a hot mess sometimes, and so I'm not gonna judge you. But this is exactly what she's talking about. This like vicious cycle. If we're living in our insecurities, we're gonna keep hitting that point. And I've done that so many times. And it's not pretty. People don't like it. People don't want to be around you. Like, it's just not a good place to be. And I've seen it unfortunately happen to some other friends who've done social media, and it's just it ends up, if that's where you live, and that's where you keep going towards, it ends up in a really bad path and a really bad cycle. So be self-aware, talk about what you need to talk to, slow down if you need to. There's no glory for making it to your grave faster than somebody else. So just, I'm here to support you if you need it. So is my community. And let's continue. Oops.
And of ultimately still not feeling great about yourself. So it just creates this constant cycle of having to constantly push out content and be in front of people and get the likes, the comments, and the followers. And don't get me wrong, I love a good motivational video or quote or graphic or meme or whatever it is. I love that stuff. I create that stuff. But just like drugs, it can be dangerous. And motivation needs to be consumed in moderation. Otherwise, you're constantly in this shame cycle or in the hustle scam of feeling bad about yourself for not being constantly busy and working towards your goals. And then you seek external validation or motivation and to get that dopamine hit, and then that gives you a momentary fix and you're right back in the cycle. And instead of working towards your own goals and working towards what you ultimately want to achieve, you're just waiting for somebody to show you the way. And as I've said in many videos before, nobody's gonna show you the way. You have to listen to yourself and find time to tune in order to figure out what you're really meant to do. And you can't tune in if you're constantly busy. So how do you create your own motivation? Be a cautious consumer. There is nothing wrong with following people who motivate you towards your specific goals. But if you don't know what you want to do and you're just constantly feeling the need to be motivated by people online, then you're going to ultimately usually get very mediocre results. Mass motivation and general images and memes like this aren't really giving you much to work with or knowing what you need to work towards. The most helpful kind of self-help or motivation creates transformation and isn't just information being spewed at you.
Did you catch that? If it's truly motivation that's helping you, you will feel transformed and not just have a hit for a high moment of, oh, that's such a good quote or whatever, and then 10 minutes later, crap, I'm such a bad person. That's not what we're after here. We are after true transformation to help you get to where you want to go. And that's what I'm striving for in my own life as well. And that's why I have coaches and all of that I meet with on a regular basis. And that's why when I put content out, you will see some of the motivation, but you're going to see some of the hard stuff too. And you're going to see me be real. And I just did a podcast the other day about my struggles with self-worth and how they've been shifting. And last week, I think I did one on emotions. Whew, I was a basket case last week. So that's what she's talking about here. Of just actually, it's causing your life to actually change in a positive direction that you want to go, and not just this cycle of, oh, I need a feel-good moment. Oh, I'm a terrible person. I need another feel-good moment. Okay, there it is.
We don't need more information. We need transformation to actually become the best version of ourselves, or the most successful, whatever that definition is for you, for yourself. So who are those people that you need to seek out and follow that are actually living the kind of life that you want to live? Create more than you consume. Be sure that if you're constantly in that scroll hole on Instagram, you're not just taking in information and exhausting your mind.
So this possibly could help you. I'm not sure. If it doesn't, leave a comment, let me know. But how I operate is I rarely ever scroll. And if I do, it's like 4 or 5 posts max. Rarely ever scroll. I hop on, I watch stories sometimes of the people that I know, like, and trust. And I don't spend a lot of time there either, but I do spend a lot of time on content creation, and I do spend a lot of time on making sure I'm working through the emotions and everything that I need to be able to put the best of me out there for you, so that I can help you in any way that I can. Obviously I can't be everything to everybody, but I still want to be at the top of my game when I put stuff out there for you. And so my focus is really content creation and building that business and being a good model for you. So that's kind of how I run things as well. I don't know if that helps you or not, but hopefully.
You're actually creating content that's helpful and impactful and working towards ultimately what you want to create for yourself, and not just feeding the beast of somebody else getting more likes and followers and comments. Understand that rest is not for the weak. Smart people rest. Period. Because, like I said, if you're constantly working your muscle, you're going to burn them out, and your body and your brain work the same way. So give yourself what it needs, give your body what it needs. We're trying to keep up with technology and computers. We're not computers and we're not robots. We're not meant to be on all the time. Even an iPhone has to be shut down if it gets too hot, if it overheats. So don't let yourself get to that place. Give yourself what you need in order to be a healthy, happy, functioning human being, and not just this constant busybody. Sit down and write out what you want to accomplish in the next 12 months. Get clear on it. Because when you're constantly consuming content and you're on social media, it's really easy to get confused. And it's really easy to lose sight of your own goals and what you actually want. But when you know what you want, you seek out the things you need. So make sure that you know where you're going and what it is that you personally want to achieve and what your definition of success is. That is what's most important. And then you can seek out the people and the resources, books, courses, etc. that are gonna help you get there. Create micro goals for yourself. Crushing your goals and crushing your dreams and all of these things, that's a big, broad goal. What the hell does that even mean? You need to work towards what you, as a human being and as an individual, what's important to you. So create these micro goals that you can celebrate, because every time you celebrate a little goal like that,
and that's exactly what I do with people. When I coach people or work with people, I help them focus on one thing that they can accomplish throughout the week, one thing that they can do every day, and we celebrate and we get that momentum going, and it's just one thing. It's nothing crazy. And it could be just simply, depending on where people are at, could be just simply smiling at somebody because you want to break through shyness every day. It could be something as simple as spending 5 minutes a day on content creation. Whatever it is, it starts off so simple and so small, but it creates momentum.
creates a dopamine hit, and that creates momentum for you moving forward, and it gets you out of the cycle of needing to consume anybody else's content to motivate you, and it creates motivation for yourself. Celebrate your wins, even if they're little tiny wins. Don't compare your day 1 to somebody else's day 100. If you have a little tiny win, if you put up a video on YouTube, if you make your first post on Instagram stories, if you are studying a course and you finish the first module, whatever it is, celebrate it. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell people, give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a little hug, celebrate it, because you know what that does? It creates momentum, and it creates dopamine inside of you as well that you're creating for yourself, and again, you're not getting it from anybody else. Unfollow anyone who makes you feel guilty or ashamed for not being constantly busy. Really be cautious of how the things you see in your newsfeed on any platform make you feel. If they make you feel crappy about yourself, it's keeping you in that scam, that hustle cycle. Celebrate other people. Say good job. Tell someone you're proud of them. Stop and look around you and see what the people around you are building and creating. And that creates this amazing support system that everybody really does need. And if you become this person who works all the time and you lose track of the things that actually matter, you're ultimately gonna be left with no support system. And so that's not really a way to live your life. Visualize the things that you want to accomplish and write them down.
We're all human, and we need other people to be able to keep going forward and keep living life. So don't forget that in the process of building your dreams, because we all need each other from time to time. It's gonna look different, but we so need each other.
Actually proven to release dopamine, which makes you feel good and happy and proud of yourself. And so if you visualize and write your goals down and then actually feel what it's going to feel like to achieve them, it's going to create forward momentum internally. And then the basics: eat the right foods that make you feel good and make you feel healthy. And there's things like probiotics. And
so I'm going to stop it there. There's only a couple minutes left, but if you want to watch it, I'll leave it in the link down below. But she gave some really good advice, and she's saying the exact same thing that I've been saying throughout these other videos as well, and that's the key to this game is self-awareness. You have to be self-aware, and that's why I started the series, is to help you become self-aware. And we can thank Brad Mondo for Hairdresser Reacts, because I stumbled upon that. I don't even remember how, but I stumbled upon those videos and I was like, oh, these are really fun. These are cool. This might actually help my community. And so thank Brad Mondo for giving me the idea for these videos. And I hope that you're getting value out of this and your self-awareness is increasing, because that is the goal of this. If it is, leave a comment down below. Let me know how. If not, let me know what questions you have to be able to help you move forward in a better way that suits your life better, that is better for you, and that makes you feel better, because that's the real goal here. You can always send me a DM, a text message, an email. All of my contact information is down below. Whatever the case, I'm here. I want to help you. I love you so much, and I believe in you. And as always, dream big and